Welcome to Central Missouri Alumni Stories. I'm your host, Cory Bittner. On this show, we talk with alumni from the University of Central Missouri and we ask them to tell their stories. Today we are joined by Dr. Shannon Kennedy, and we're very excited for the discussion that we're going to have. She recently became a doctor of chiropractic, and we're excited to have her here today to kind of talk about her story, talk about her time in Warrensburg at the University of Central Missouri, and kind of how it set her up for where she's at today. So Shannon, thanks for being here.
Yep, thank you for inviting me.
I think that it's pretty interesting. You and I were kind of talking before we started recording here today, and when we kind of exchanged some messages prior to the show about how you are now a chiropractor, but you also have a little bit of a passion project for animal chiropractic.
Yep.
Which is a pretty unique, interesting niche in my opinion. I know that sounds like it's one that there's not a lot of people that know a lot about it, so I'm excited to kind of talk with you about that today. But again, I appreciate you being here. So.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. To kind of get started though, let's first talk about where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Western Shawnee, so not too far from here, just all the way down Shawnee Mission Parkway.
Sure, until it ends, huh?
Yes.
Okay, all right, good. So born and raised in Kansas City then. What, with this show being, of course, geared toward and about alumni from UCM or CMSU, depending upon when people graduated, what is it that led you to UCM?
So my mom's parents had owned some rental houses, one of them being a duplex up in Lawrence, and so that was handed down to my mom. And so I always just thought I was going to go to KU because that was super convenient. I could live like rent-free in this duplex that's pretty much right downtown. So I just went to a bunch of their junior nights, senior nights, tours, and it just didn't feel right. And the size was pretty daunting to me as well. So then just one day in one of my classes, I was talking with my cheerleader friend, and she was telling me she was going to UCM. And I'm like, oh, well, I haven't really heard of that. Like, where is it? Blah, blah, just asking her a bunch of questions. And I just decided, oh, well, that's really close. I'll take a tour.
Check it out.
And so I did, and I just really loved it, especially the size, and everyone was super friendly, so. Yeah,
that's good. And kind of like you and I talked about, that's I think something that UCM is working on doing more of, is just promotion, making themselves more present in the conversation of kids that are off to school. Because like you said, growing up in Western Shawnee, you weren't too familiar with the University of Central Missouri, but it ended up being a really positive experience for you.
Yeah, and luckily since it was so close, our county, they gave us in-state tuition.
Is that right?
That was another thing.
Wow, that's a huge perk. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. No promises for future students. I don't know if that's still the way to do things, but yeah. No, that's good though, from a financial standpoint, absolutely. Okay, good. So tell me, you ultimately had a degree while you were interested in pre-med, you had a degree that was in biology and then a minor in chemistry. What were, some positive experiences from classes that you took while you were at UCM? Yeah,
so I really liked the professional development classes they had for the biology, science, any of the science majors. We had to take them. It was great though. I know like as a freshman, we had to take a course. I have many things, but one of the things I remember is we had to go interview a few different faculty members, ones that taught in the science department. And so basically we were getting to know our future teachers. So that was really nice. And then I think it was the senior year, we had some kind of professional development course where we had to do all kinds of things. One of them was do like a resume and a CV. And I know a lot of people don't know what a CV is.
Yeah, what's a CV?
Yes, so a CV is a curriculum vitae, and it's similar to a resume, but it's more so for your education, and you like list all your coursework and any projects you've done, things like that. There's certain industries that prefer a CV over a resume.
Okay, so it's a little bit more industry specific.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. All right, good. What do you have a favorite memory from your time in Warrensburg, whether it's academic or extracurricular or social or whatever it might be?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot, but like one of them would be the Greek week was
Sure.
always fun. I guess they call it like FSL now.
Okay.
Trying to stay hip with all the new language. So the fraternity sorority week. So what we do, we'd all come together, which I loved because I had friends in all different sororities. So that was nice that we all got to go to events together. Because a lot of times you kind of just spend most of your time in your own chapter with your own sorority, but doing activities with them, which is great. But it was so nice to be able to go to events and things with all of my friends from the other sororities. So, and we would also do like a can drive, and we would like clean up downtown, like pick up trash and just help the community out. So that was always a fun time.
So it sounds like during what did you say it's called? FSL?
Yeah, it's like fraternity sorority life.
Okay,
I think they changed. I think they changed like Greek week because some people get confused with it being called Greek.
Okay.
So
understood.
I don't know.
Okay, I'm with you. Fair enough. So, but during that, just the the sort of, I guess, inclusion of other people that were in other houses and just kind of expanding your own personal network. But it sounds like while you mentioned and talked about how you had a positive experience with some of your coursework and some of your classes, there was also that sort of social side and function of your involvement with your sorority and everything else that came with that gave for a person pretty positive experience.
Yes, yeah. And then I was also in the student government as well.
Okay.
So that was also a fun time because we would just look at the issues that students kind of had with the school, and then we'd try to think of ways like how could we make this a better experience for everyone. So
interesting. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So you were on that side of it. I think when I was in college, I might have been on the other side of I might have been one of the students raising issues.
Oh, so. Really?
Probably so. We could talk more about that off air. But
that's funny.
Anyway, no, that's good. Good for you. All right. So then, moving on from your time in Warrensburg, now that you are a doctor of chiropractic, you left Warrensburg, and then what did your educational path look like after that?
So right directly after graduation, I went up to St. Louis and I started at Logan College of Chiropractic, and then I just, like KU, I found out it wasn't for me.
Sure.
Just one of those things where that school and city, it just wasn't right for me. So I took a year and a half off and toured other schools and worked a little. And luckily I had, taken those professional classes as a, part of my major.
It's a precursor.
That helped me because it did talk about, since it was a science, since it was like a science degree and science class for professional development.
Got it.
It talked about getting into working in a laboratory environment. So that helped because I was a lab technician for a year and a half before I transferred to Palmer College of Chiropractic.
Okay. And then you shared with me that total the program to become a doctor of chiropractic was how long?
It is just shy of 4 years.
Okay. And it sounds to me like from our discussion that your education, your time, the professional development program and course that you talked about from Warrensburg is what, helped prepare you for that next step in that next program.
Yes, yeah.
Were the majority of the students that you went through that program with, were they required to have an undergraduate degree to go through that program at Palmer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. For the most part, There is a way where, some people go for 2 years and then they finish up their 2 years at Palmer. Palmer does offer some undergraduate courses.
Okay.
So you can
so
get
the bachelor's
those.
degree coincides with or it's part of the program to become the doctor of chiropractic.
Yeah, well, you'll graduate with
sense.
2 degrees then. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. What, so now that you're done with that, what would you say is what's your dream job?
So eventually I would love to work for myself. Right now, since I'm very new, I want to work in an established place and learn the ropes and everything. It's very hard to start out by yourself. And especially the costs and student loans and all. So yeah, it's much easier to go into an established place. So that's what I'm wanting to do. But yeah, eventually down the road, I'd like to have my own little place. So.
Sure. Yeah, no, good for you. And we talked a little bit earlier about, again, how, you grew up going to see a chiropractor. You continued to see one when you were in undergrad, when you were in college. And, that just being kind of the road that you chose to go down, that was one that, maybe wasn't what you always thought you were going to do when you sort of thought, well, I'm going to do pre-med and I'm going to become a doctor, whatever it might be. But, here you are now. So
yep.
Why, well, let me ask this then. So understanding the concept of, chiropractic, if you mentioned, and something I wanted to talk with you about today was the animal chiropractic. And I know that's a little bit of a passion project of yours, and it sounds like maybe kind of a blossoming or blooming field that people are starting to learn more about. Talk to me a little bit more about that. What does that entail? What does that look like? What kind of education do you have around that, et cetera?
Okay, so for me, just about 4 to 5 days after I graduated with my Doctor of Chiropractic, I decided, let's go to more school after almost 4 years.
Hadn't had enough.
Right. I can never have enough school.
Sure.
So luckily I found a summer program that was, expedited, pretty quick, fast-paced, and it was 5 weeks, a 5-week program. Luckily, humans and animals are actually pretty similar in anatomy, so
really?
That's pretty easy. You just kind of learn the differences, and everything else is a little similar, maybe just in a little different spot. But yeah, for the most part, it's crazy how similar they are.
Interesting.
So yeah, and luckily with the chiropractic training I had, it was pretty easy to translate my palpation skills from a human to an animal. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this then. And I don't mean this, in a facetious way, but how would, I guess if somebody had an animal that had a chiropractic need, is the thought there that, there would be, whether or not you would know if the animal had a chiropractic need, or is it something that someone might have their horse or dog or whatever it might be, they might actually have that animal treated by a chiropractor with regularity just to sort of keep it aligned?
Right. Yeah. Pretty much anyone with a vertebra can use chiropractic care.
Fair enough. Human, dog, horse, whatever it might be. Okay.
The thing is that pain is the last symptom. So what's going to happen is the body, human or animal, is going to, when a subluxation occurs, so a subluxation, I should explain, is, for example, in the spine, it's when a vertebra with the vertebra above or below or both, they lose their proper positioning, and so that can cause a decrease in the range of motion, and that also impinges nerves and will decrease the communication of the nervous system. So what happens is that pain is the last symptom. So your body it's going to have a subluxation, and then your body is very smart. It's going to try to help you. So it's going to compensate in different ways to compensate for a spot that's not moving properly. So another spot might move too much or more to help out the spot that isn't moving.
Okay.
So
would it be fair to say, or I guess in other words, by the time someone is experiencing pain, the damage is sort of already done?
Yeah,
Not
somewhat.
that it can't be repaired, but there's already been, something's already led up to that. It's not like that's the first sign that there's something wrong.
Exactly, yeah. So that's why it's important for you, even if you're like, well, I feel great. That's why it's important for you to go get checked and make sure you are properly aligned and all.
And the same should go for animals?
Yes, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, for the most part, a lot of times they say cats are usually always fine or they're pretty bad. So,
okay.
But I don't have
one extreme or the other.
Right. A lot of cats do have issues kind of more in the hind end, and it's mostly kind of where the sacrum is, which is what you sit on. So, and that's, connected to their tail. And cats use their tail not only for motion and running, but they use it for balance. So you know how they're climbing up all over your house?
Sure. Right.
They're using their tail to whip them around all over the place. So a lot of cats do experience issues in that area.
That makes sense, yeah.
And it's safe to keep them at least checked, give them checkups, even if they aren't showing kind of any signs. And it is pretty hard to tell in an animal when they're in pain until it's really bad, because like I said, the body compensates and they hide that pretty well.
And they can't communicate it.
Exactly,
right,
yeah.
They can't tell you, hey,
exactly.
I'm in pain.
Yeah,
here.
and if they're like, oh, they just have that stiff, dull ache, like us, we kind of just stretch around. We don't really say, tell everyone, okay. I'm in pain until you're hunched over, you'll tell people. But yeah, with animals, they're the same. They're just going to kind of try to maybe stretch out, but.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So then, in your training, what type of animals did you most routinely, I guess, work with?
Yeah, so we're mostly trained, so large animals, which would be, we trained on horses, and then we were lectured on cows, which are going to be pretty similar in anatomy and technique. There's a few different joint differences with them. And then we were also trained on small animals. We practiced mostly on dogs, and then we were lectured on cats, and then had a few instances to get our hands on them. So, which is, cats sometimes have that attitude. It's like they would rather be left alone.
Sure.
So, but luckily the shelters we went to, we found some really great cats that loved us working on them. Yeah. So, yeah, depends on the cat. You never know.
Sure. And are there any? So, what's the overlap, if any, between animal chiropractic and veterinarians? So in the animal chiropractic program, it's open for students of both veterinarians and chiropractors. Okay.
So, so if you're a veterinarian, you can also become a chiropractor. A lot of, I made really great friends with some vets, and a lot of them, the reason why they decided to go to the chiropractic school is they just felt so bad and they knew they could do better for their patients when they had issues like arthritis or discs, because it's all they could do is give them some anti-inflammatories or things like that. And so they're like, I know I can do better than that. Like I want to help them. So and that was how I got interested in animal chiropractic. I adopted an elderly cat. His name was Gatsby. He was a tuxedo cat.
Okay.
And
appropriately named.
Yes, right? He was so handsome. But so unfortunately one day his tail just went completely limp and it was dragging on the floor. and he couldn't eat or use the bathroom because it was so painful for him. And he actually was crying. I'd never like tears were coming out of his eyes, and I'd never seen an animal cry before, and that just totally freaked me out. I took him to his vet, and all he could do for me was, he was like, oh, I think it's an arthritis flare-up. And he was given 3 pills, and he could only take 3 pills because in cats, it is toxic. This, any like arthritis medication is toxic to, I can't remember if it's the kidney or the liver, or maybe both.
But an organ, yeah.
But yeah, so he could only take 3. And dogs, they said they can take more. So I'm like, oh, dang. I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I was really worried. And then I'm like, well, I'm a chiropractic student. Why don't I take him to an animal chiropractor? So I wanted, to have him checked out by his vet first, of course. So yeah, after that vet visit, I took him to an animal chiropractor, and he just had 1 adjustment, and after 3 days, he was pretty much 100% better.
Wow.
100% back to normal. So just seeing that, I'm like, wow, that's unbelievable.
Impactful, yeah, with what they're doing.
Yeah, and it's, it's another thing where animals can't fake that. Animals don't have a concept of a placebo as humans do. So some people will say like, oh, chiropractic, that's quackery and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like, oh,
sure.
Yeah, someone pushes on you and tells you you're going to feel better. It's a placebo.
Got it.
Right. But it wouldn't work if it didn't work in animals, it wouldn't work like that. So yeah, the proof is right there.
It's not like Gatsby's friends were telling him that the animal chiropractic was quackery.
Exactly, right.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, no, I hear you. That's a fair point. Okay, good. So, all right, that's really interesting. Well, best of luck with that, because I'll be interested in hearing more about it. This is, frankly, was the first time that I had learned about it, and I didn't realize that it existed to begin with. Nor did I realize how many people are involved with it. So I hope that you're able to kind of keep spreading the word.
Yeah.
So let's talk then a little bit, making that transition. Let's talk about, what comes next. And it sounds like you finished your doctor of chiropractic now. You finished the animal chiropractic program that we talked about. Something that I've shared with some of the other guests, and something that I've talked with people about, how while I'm sure you're going through interviewing jobs now, or interviewing for jobs now, one of the questions sometimes that people ask is, well, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And to me, I think that's kind of funny, because I think once you start working and you have a job, nobody asks you that question anymore.
True,
it's just very much like a contrived interview question.
Yeah.
But I want to kind of take that and apply it more to, where do you see things, not with any one specific company or office or position or whatever it might be, but when you think about, now that you're done with schooling for now, since, you can't get enough of it, I'm sure you'll find something else that you want to go do.
I know I will.
What do you see yourself, how do you see this sort of career evolving over 5, 10, 15, 20 years?
Yeah.
What does that kind of look like to you?
Honestly, I'm just so open-minded. I feel like every time I do make these big plans, they change, because I was like, for example, I was so set on KU for so long, all the way up until my senior year. And then
all of a sudden,
boom, I'm like, oh, actually, I'm going to UCM now.
Else, yeah.
So
sure.
Yeah, so I feel like I kind of do that. So yeah, I kind of don't make, I do dream, of course, like, oh, what if I do this or this? But yeah, I try to go with the flow.
Sure.
But yeah, eventually, like I said earlier, I want to start out with an established practice, working with someone, and kind of see where that takes me. If I'm really happy, I'll stay. Or if I decide, I am really independent, but also I do like working with a team. So so I might just go and start my own. A lot of the instructors for the animal chiropractic, the chiropractors said that, they started out with the human chiropractic and then would do the animal chiropractic on the side. And then eventually it was like 50-50. And then a lot of them are just 100% the animal chiropractors. So they don't have to mess with insurance.
Sure.
So that's a lot nicer. So yeah, maybe that will happen with me. Maybe I'll do 50-50. I don't know. I haven't really figured it out, but I'm very open to seeing where life takes me.
Good for you. That's, it's funny that you make that comment about insurance, but I learned more recently that, even animal and pet insurance is becoming more of a thing now.
Is it? Yeah, well, I knew there was like Care Credit, where it's like a credit card for, a lot of people have it for their own health, but they do like veterinary services now.
Almost like a health savings account type of account that can be used for an animal.
Yeah. But I haven't really heard of insurance. I think I've maybe heard of insurance a little bit.
I know it's
but
growing.
I'm like,
I do know it's growing.
Please don't make me have to do a bunch
start to go through,
I'm cash only.
That's right. Yeah, your cat ends up with a higher deductible than you have.
Right.
So wouldn't surprise me. Okay, good. So it sounds like you're pretty open-minded, obviously, with what you're doing here in the short term, but I think it also sounds like you kind of have an idea of where you want to go long term, but the road to get there we know can be, it can swerve this way and that, and there's zigs and there's zags, but that's good. It's it sounds like it's a very interesting, unique field to go down. The animal chiropractic being a very specific, niche inside of that. So, I hope it works out for the best for you.
Thank you.
So, okay, good. Now the next segment, what I kind of wanted to go through is something that we started doing called the Mule Minute, or the Jenny Jam, as someone else has named it. So this particular segment is sponsored by Falcon Wealth Advisors, and what we like to do here is I just want to rattle through. This is our fun segment here. So I'm just going to rattle through 10 questions or so. You have 60 seconds to answer. I don't have a stopwatch.
Oh, okay.
But the idea is I just kind of want your, what's your answer right off the top of your head.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. I'm ready.
So I have my note cards here. All right. So to get us started, one, what is your favorite food?
Oh, gosh. Rice.
Rice. Just
I
rice.
Love rice. I could eat plain rice with like soy sauce. If I'm just really hungry, I make big pots of rice and then save a bunch in the fridge. So yeah, if I'm like super hungry, I just do rice and soy sauce sometimes.
Okay, rice it is. What's your favorite destination?
Oh, I just went to Barbados in December. Excellent. And that was amazing. So I'd have to say that.
I haven't been there myself. Favorite sport? Do you have one?
To watch or to play?
Either.
Oh, okay. To play, probably just about anything. To watch, a lot of things are so boring because I'd rather play.
Fair. Yeah, sure.
But like soccer and basketball are pretty interesting to watch.
Okay, good. This is a really long-term question, but what do you, while you're getting your career started, but let's think past that, let's think about the really long-term and think about retirement, right? I know that's a long way away. What do you see yourself retiring, or what does that look like?
Oh, on a tropical island.
Okay. When? What age do you think?
Oh. Maybe, I haven't really thought about it. Maybe like 70.
Okay. No, that's fair. I was just curious. Okay. Yeah. Cats or dogs?
Cats.
Okay. Kansas or Missouri?
Kansas.
All right. What's your favorite way to spend your free time?
Oh, I do a lot of YouTube videos. Just, watch the autoplay just back to back. Yeah, just random stuff. It depends on my mood, what I'm feeling like. So, yeah, just learning more or just having a laugh.
Sure. Yep, that's good. What is one other profession that you would like to try other than your own?
Oh, I feel like I want to be Barbie and just do it all. Just try. Well, there's certain jobs I'm like, I would not want to do that. But if I had to pick one, I don't know.
You've been too focused on chiropractic to figure it out.
Right, yeah, I just got done with school.
There you go. So. Maybe we can. All right, and then last question here. What is one piece of advice that you'd give someone?
Just stay positive.
Stay positive. I like that. The power of a positive attitude is a meaningful one. So, all right, perfect. Well, thanks again. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on here with us this afternoon. And I think I obviously wish you, the best of luck in hopefully the very, what turns out to be a great career and a very interesting niche career. It's certainly interesting to learn more about. So again, we appreciate all of our listeners and our, the viewers that watch the show on YouTube, or the listeners. Again, we are on SoundCloud, on iTunes, or your Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever it is that you get your podcast. So please make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. If you have any questions or suggested guests or feedback for future shows, please feel free to reach out to me. My handle on Twitter is @Cory Bittner KC, and my email address is Cory@FalconWealthAdvisors.com. And Dr. Kennedy, if folks want to get a hold of you, if they have any leads on any animal chiropractic jobs or whatever it might be, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I am on LinkedIn, and then as Shannon Kennedy, and then I just made an Instagram, so Excellent. You can find me at Dr. Kennedy_Chiro.
Okay, perfect. Well, thanks again. I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate everybody listening and watching, and I hope you have a great week.